Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another review. Today, we're going to be talking about the newest Predator movie, Predator Badlands. First of all, I just want to apologize for this movie being so late. I had to work like crazy last week, and I was extremely tired, so I didn't make it out to the theater to see it until this weekend. So, apologies for that. I hope people are still interested in knowing what my thoughts were about it, but if not, hey, it's cool. I just want to get my thoughts out there anyway to tell everybody how awesome this movie is. We're back with a new Predator movie, finally, and I'll be honest with you, this is a franchise that I am I'm a casual fan of this franchise. I really like the first one, or the original one, and 2 and 3, or 2 and Predators, I guess 2 and 3. I don't remember anything about them. There's one that I'm very overdue for a rewatch. I do not remember crap when it comes to them, and Prey I actually really enjoyed. So I was like, I was looking forward to this new movie. I was like, if it's on the same level as Prey, then I think it'll be good. And thankfully, it's the same director who came over to do Predator Badlands, and I went to go see this movie. I was open minded with it, but I walked out and genuinely really enjoyed this movie. I had a blast with it. Oh, and the one that I forgot to talk about, I do kind of enjoy Shane Black's The Predator. I know everybody and their brother has already clicked off of this video. I know they're like, fuck this guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. No, hear me out. I understand that movie is not at all what Shane Black wanted it to be. I know it had so much studio interference and things had to be cut differently and shot differently. I know there's sequences of that movie that Shane Black shot that we'll probably never see, but it's not the original version that Shane Black wanted to do. I don't know. I've rewatched it a few times. I have fun with it. I think I've just accepted it for what it is. I love all the characters in it. I love the actors, I think, in it. I think that's a big, big play on it. And I think that's why I have so much enjoyment out of it. I know by a landslide it is not even close to the best Predator movie, but I have a good time with it. So hopefully you guys are still here. If not, I mean, it's cool, but I get it. Predator Badlands is really awesome. And I love the take on this movie that we follow the Predator. I know I haven't seen the one that came out a few months ago that was the animated one, The Killer of Killers. I have not seen that one. Very curious to check it out, especially after this one, and since it is the same director. But I do like the fact that we follow this Predator that goes to this planet to try to kill. He goes on his first hunt so that way he can be accepted into his clan and all that stuff on his planet and whatnot. And I think it's a really cool story because it has that underdog kind of feel to it. Like the whole time I was watching this movie, so I was like, okay, so we're watching this Rocky Balboa of Predator movies. I was like, we're watching this underdog trying to make something of himself. I was like, all right, that's cool. But yeah, it's like this, he's like the runt of his clan, and of course, like his dad doesn't believe in him. His dad actually wants him dead. And I'm not going to say anything that happens in the first act or anything like that, but essentially, yeah. And then he goes to this planet where this thing is essentially unkillable, and he tries to that he wants that to be his trophy to really prove himself. And man, this movie is just nonstop action. Like it's just something all the way till the end of the movie, and it is so well paced and it's just so well done that you are so on board for everything that's happening. Even in the beginning, there's stuff that's going on in the very beginning that immediately hooks you into it, that you're like, this is really cool. And I love the fact that you're following this Predator character that is essentially the villain in every other movie that we've seen so far. But this one, like I said, it takes it in this underdog route where it sets up this story so well with this Predator that you're like, I'm starting to care for this thing, and I'm rooting for it. I want him to see him fulfill his quest and his hunt that he's going for. Now maybe that would have been differently if they sent him to Earth and he was trying to kill a particular human. Now maybe unless the human was just an awful person, maybe it would have been differently, but sending him to this planet to kill this unkillable thing was kind of a really cool element to it, and it adds something too as well because literally everything on this planet is trying to kill you. So I think that was kind of a cool thing and made you really, based on what happens in the beginning as you're following the journey with this predator, I think it adds a really cool layer to uh, really caring about this character and really wanting to go on this ride with him. I think this movie also is a lot of fun. There's so many fun elements and so many just great action sequences of how they're pulled off and the stuff that goes on this planet. And like I said before, he lands on this planet to where everything is trying to kill you at every corner. There's something out there that's coming after you, and it can be anything. Nothing is safe anywhere, and I think that's a cool way of getting established in this world to where you could turn and see something and then literally turn the other way and something else is coming, where it don't matter what it is. The smallest thing could be the most lethal thing, and it's really cool how they establish and set all that up from the get-go. Very cool concept, too. I just think that's an awesome concept about a predator landing on a planet where everything is trying to kill you while he's trying to kill something else. Awesome concept. Elle Fanning does a really good job in this movie, too. She's playing essentially a dual role in this movie, which I did not know until seeing it. I thought she was just playing like this one cyborg type character, and she ends up playing like two, which I think is a really cool element that comes to fruition later on in the movie. But her partnering up with this predator, I think it adds so much like comedic relief to the movie, and it's done so well. I think the comedy is interjected in here. It's almost like this buddy cop type movie to where it goes back and forth so well, and I think she's got great chemistry with this predator that I think that's what adds so much to it. And because of her character, this predator starts to learn things, like she's telling him things about Earth and just what it's like to be. It's interesting to get these conversations because she's supposed to be playing this cyborg type character, but talking about things, giving him this advice about you don't have to be this way because of this. And she gives a great speech about a wolf, how there's a certain wolf that's like an alpha and all that stuff like that, and how the alpha doesn't kill. He's like kind of the protector of the pack and all that stuff. And really cool thing because it's almost like you're watching this predator grow. It's almost like he has a great character development, which is crazy. But he has such a great character development and arc throughout this movie that it plays so well into it, and it just adds a great another element to the movie. There's also a creature you meet a little bit later on in the movie, that becomes almost like this other comedic character. And at first I was like, is this going to be too much too much of the comedy because of Elle Fanning already being kind of the comedic relief, and now you have this like little creature that's coming in to try to help and stuff like that. And no, I thought it worked out so well. I think it is awesome how the dynamic between the three of them, I think, is great and adds this whole different level to it. And I think it did a great job of blending all the humor with so much great action, because to me, all of the humor that they're going for in this movie really hit. There's not really anything that really fell flat or felt like it was forced in. And I really appreciated that about it. One of the other things I really liked about this movie was I think it has a strong message of family. Like, you're trying to fit in and be a part of your family and doing what, you think is right because you want to become a certain thing in your family, and you're trying to live up to your dad or somebody in your family or whatever the case may be. But in this movie, it has that, but I also love that it has that element of that these people you meet along the way can, really change who you are and become your family. Like, your immediate family is, can be, sometimes for some people, can be the farthest thing from your real family. And your closest of closest friends can be your real family. Your brothers and your sisters and all that stuff can be just a true family. And I love that, because there's a great movie that came out a few years ago called The Peanut Butter Falcon that had a great quote in it. And this is immediately what I thought of after seeing this movie. The great quote is, friends are the family that you choose. And a lot of times that's the case. There's people that come into your life that just really change everything and really, help you a certain way. And I love that about this movie, because it's almost like I said, it's an underdog story that you're rooting for this predator, but it is also this kind of like this coming of age story for a predator. And I think that's a really unique take to have. And I think it's really cool how they implemented all those elements of like family, but you can have, these people you meet along the way be, they become more of your family sometimes than your real family is. It's established later on in the movie that there is this company that Elle Fanning works for, that her other sister cyborg, that essentially that the other character that she plays, are there on that planet to get that exact creature that the Predator is hunting. And once that element came into the movie, I honestly kind of sank in my chair for a minute because I was like, oh crap, because I thought it was going to go more focus on them going back and forth between him going for it and them going for it. And I was like, fuck, is this going to be one of those movies where now we're going to shift the focus to them and have to focus on what's going on with them? Because I was worried that they've spent so much time establishing what's going on with the Predator and Elle Fanning and all them that I knew that's where my main focus was. And I was worried that if they went in this route of introducing these new characters, this whole other organization that they're looking for this creature, I was worried if we shifted focus and just mainly focused on them for a little while and then started to cut back and forth, I was worried that it was going to undercut it, and I was going to be like, I don't care, let's get back to the Predator. That's where my focus has been for the last 45 minutes, so let's get back to that, and that's where, that's where I want to be. But thankfully, it didn't go that route. It was very quickly established setting them up and that they're looking for this, and then anything that they were kind of involved in, the Predator was still there, and it leads to just an epic battle sequence between them, and of course near the conclusion of the movie it leads towards an epic battle at the end of the movie with when it comes to them as well. And I'm so glad it didn't go that route, because I was so worried that it was going to be one of those things and it was going to just really just take the movie down a notch for me. But I'm so happy that it didn't go in that direction, because that was going to be a pretty big negative for me if it did, and it did not go that way at all. Not that I'm saying that side of the story could have been more interesting in what they were trying to set up and establish, but my other concern was with it is that if they were going to go that route, they should have kind of established and set that up within the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, to where, you've been following this Predator and, Elle Fanning and their journey for so long that if you just, hard cut to that and brought that in, I don't think you would have cared. Where if you kind of mixed it in a little bit, near the beginning, it would have been easier to go down and digest. But thankfully, like I said, it didn't go that route, so didn't have to worry about that. But that was one big concern I had while watching the movie, and thankfully, like I said, it doesn't go that way at all, and it blends them together enough to where your attention is still held on their story, and thankfully, it organically introduces these characters into it to where, like I said, anytime they're there, the Predator is still there for the most part, and you're still invested in what's going on. And going back to the family thing real fast, what I said about, that with your real family and all that, there's a great dynamic between the two characters that Elle Fanning plays. She's playing these two cyborg characters, and, one of them is really, fun and playful, and the other one is strictly like, no, I have a mission. I'm going to complete this mission come hell or high water. And there's a great dynamic between the two of them, especially when the two of them reunite, again, without spoiling anything, has that cool dynamic of family about, sometimes family isn't always, the family you think you have and whatnot. Like I said before, sometimes family is the family you choose. And I love that they went that route with this movie. I think that's a very interesting route to take, like I said, for a Predator movie. But it's done so well, and it's interweaved so good in the movie that it's such an organic feeling throughout it, and it's so good. And to me, it adds so much of an extra layer onto this movie that makes you care even more about these characters and makes you root for them and want them to see them succeed in what their mission is. I actually think that I prefer this movie over Prey, and like I said, I really enjoyed Prey. I know we're getting a Prey 2, I do believe, from what I understand. But I'm so happy this movie ends on a note to where we probably will get a sequel to this movie, and I hope like hell we get a sequel to this movie, because I am there, because everything they were able to pull off in this movie and establish, I am so curious to see where they can go from there. Plus, I want to follow these characters even more. I love the three of these characters together that are in this movie, so I will happily watch 2, 3, 5, 6, 10 more movies with these characters, because I just am fully invested in them, and I want to see what kind of crazy adventures they get up to. Not only that, but like I said, the dynamic between their humor together, I think works so well. So it makes me want even more from them. So I am really looking forward. I hope, really, really hope. I know we're getting one for Prey, but I really, really hope they decide to do a sequel for this movie as well. I think our music in this movie is so great as well. I think the main theme of that Predator score that we get throughout that movie, and the way that they use the music throughout, I think it's so well done, and it adds so much flavor to the movie, and does this thing to where in those action sequences when it's going and it's playing that certain theme, it helps you as an audience member get hyped up that you're like, oh shit, some serious shit's about to go down, and I am stoked, and I am here for it. So I think it adds such a great element of helping you get pumped up and into those scenes even more. And where they choose to insert it in this movie, especially like I said, that one particular score, that piece of music that's played throughout the that type of music like that, I think is awesome. I think it's so well done, and it's so well placed where they put it. I know a lot of people were concerned because this movie was PG-13 and afraid that it was going to be Disney-fied and all that stuff. And don't worry, I had the same concern especially with Disney stuff. And don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest fan of Disney at all, but like I said, I went in, I was like, okay, I want to check this movie out, and I was blown away with how much I liked this movie. And as for the PG-13 thing, I wouldn't worry too much because, like I said, it's a lot of predator blood, which is green, and it's a lot of AI robots and creatures and all that stuff like that. So they're able to work around that and do it in a different way. And it doesn't miss a beat. You completely forget, honestly, in the first 20 minutes that you're even watching a PG-13 Predator movie anyway, because it has that same feel as the other Predator movies do, where, I know they're rated R and more violence because they involve more human elements to it, but again, it's in the same vein where in the first 10, 20 minutes, you just forget about that altogether. And I have to give kudos. I think the writing in this movie is so good, too. I think the writers did such a good job with bringing these different elements, like I said before, with the comedic stuff and the action stuff, and not only that, but this element of family throughout it. And because of all of that, especially with the family stuff, this movie has so much heart to it, I think, which is so funny to say because, like I said, this is a Predator movie, so it's so funny to say that. But this movie actually has a lot of heart at the end of the day. And like I said, you see this character of the Predator go on this journey, and throughout this journey, he, becomes a different person. He grows and has a fantastic story arc. Like I said, it's an underdog story, but it's a coming of age movie too of a Predator, and I think that's just a really cool thing to have. And like I said, the writers, kudos to you guys, because I thought they wrote such a good story, and everything was so well written. And this was honestly one of the biggest surprises I think I had this year, because like I said, I went in with expectations of what, like I said earlier, yeah, I do want to check this movie out, I want to see it, but at the same time, I'm worried that it's going to be completely Disney-fied and have a bunch of that Disney stuff in it that I get it, it is what it is. But thankfully, none of that wasn't the case at all. To me, this movie didn't feel anything like Disney whatsoever. And I'm happy to say that for a Predator movie, because I had the same way with Alien Romulus. I was like, crap. We're getting a first Alien movie that's going to be owned by Disney. What can they really do with that? And I love Alien Romulus. I think it's one of my favorite Alien movies now. And I'm so thrilled and happy that this one is the same way for me. So this is one, without a doubt, I say go check it out. If you love the Predator franchise, if you really enjoyed Prey, definitely go check this movie out, especially on a big screen if you can see it in IMAX or the Dolby or anything like that. I know it might be kind of hard to find now because I think The Running Man is out now, and then next week Wicked's going to be out, and Wicked's taking every freaking major movie theater that's going to be the IMAX and the Dolby and anything like that. So if you can catch it in a theater before it leaves the bigger theater, like one of those, I think especially for the sound design, it's so good. This is a movie that's made to be seen in theaters, and I can't recommend it enough. I had a great time with it. It's definitely worth your money and your time to check it out. So thank you, everybody. That's my review for Predator Badlands. If you've seen the movie, please let me know what you thought about it down below. As always, if this is the review that you're finding me on, please come over and check out all my other 2025 reviews. I have a pretty good amount of them so far now. And as always, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. That way I can see you in the next one. Thank you all so much.